have a book that lists all of the independent schools, all of their tuitions, what their strengths are, what they focus on in their education. It's a great resource. And then the ISAGME website, I would also point you to. So if you go to the ISAGME website, they'll have information like a checklist of when applications are going out for kindergarten, different dates that you need to be aware of, if the school requires testing, if it doesn't require testing, all of that information is in there.
And I think Nancy will probably say more about this, but the public school and private schools have different kinds of timelines. So depending on what your child's birthday is, they might enter kindergarten at a different year, whether they were going to a public or private. So for those of you who are saying you're doing research way in advance, you're actually, that's good, because you may, need to plan, okay, if my child's going to private, this is my timeline. If they're going to public, you've got another one.
Which I have 2 children who are at a different timeline for public and private school. So my children in a public school would be seniors and 6th graders, but in private school they're juniors and a 5th grader, because they're fall birthdays. So a lot of private schools will have the age cutoff. They work on the school calendar year, not the year, the actual year. So it's just a different way of structuring the program.
You said there are so many private schools, right? But from the ones that are like the top, like the great ones, are there any that are convenient, let's say, for Roosevelt Island parents because they either have a bus or the community?
Well, most of the schools have bus systems. Most of the private schools have a bus system. Some are door to door, and some are, they have lines of bus systems, kind of like the public school. I think they have pickups in different areas, and you can get to those pickup spots. My son's pickup spot is at 16th and 2nd, and it takes him to his school all the way in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and then it drops him at 16th and 1st.
That's the public school bus, though.
No, that's private.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the private, it's a private school, but it's
just
provided by
Polly's.
the.
It's just Polly's.
Yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
Polly's. Okay. Because
But it
some
does
private
approve.
schools still give you an option of using the public school bus, which is free to all your students. So even though you go to a private school, you still have access to the public school bus.
And our bus system's included. It's not an additional cost. But they just run it in different areas, and you just get to go pick up and drop off spots.
And how long is the school day?
Same, 8:30 to 3:30. They all offer after-school enrichment programs. I don't know of any private schools that don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. My question before. So, do you have like names of schools?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot on the Upper East Side. Very convenient from the tram. There's Browning, and then if you go a little, that's an all-boys school. If you go a little further up, you have Buckley. There's quite a few kids here on Roosevelt Island that are actually full scholarship students to Dalton. Spence is an all-girls school, Marymount's an all-girls school, there's the town school, there's, what are some of the others? Alan Stevenson's an all-boys school. Eunice, United Nations. There's so many. There's so many. There's a lot that are convenient to Roosevelt Island.
Train, you drop down, I was sitting countries at 23rd Street.
Yeah, and
have buses, but it's not.
And the transportation system is, yes, and like the Garden School in Jackson Heights has door-to-door transportation, so they have a bus system that'll come and pick up here on Roosevelt Island and bring the child to school and drop them back off. The other Queen School View Forest is right off of the F train. It's 2 or 3 stops on the F train.
Can you tell us what made you switch? You said you started in the public school system but were not happy and switched to private school. So obviously you tried to avoid the cost or whatever, but then...
Yes, well, I really felt like my child needed to be, both of my kids for different reasons, needed to be in a smaller classroom environment. My older son is, like you said, he is sort of that child that has to be challenged. If he's in the back of the class of 30 kids, he's really not going to go above and beyond. So having him in a classroom of 10 to 15 students with 2 teachers made a huge difference in his progress. There really was was no sitting in the back of the classroom and pretending like he got it, or pretending like he was doing the work. And still to this day, it's still a challenge for him, but he is much more capable now as a junior in high school of handling his work and being more independent because of that nurturing environment that he had at a younger age. My younger son, who was in PS217 for a while, he often, and when I was in the classroom, every once in a while, I did the training to be a learning leader and went into the classroom. And often one of the challenges I would see is all the different levels of kids in the classroom and how they had to teach in one way to all of those children. So my child, who was sort of like, I remember having a conversation with the teacher, and she said, you know what I do? I teach to your child in the classroom because he's sort of right here. He's getting it, and I know that if he's getting it, then the rest of I'll have the other kids on the spectrum somewhere in the middle. And I thought, well, you know, that really kind of bothers me, because what about this child that I'm working with outside of the classroom constantly, because he's not getting it. And then the other kid who's bored because they're so far above what some of the other kids are doing, and they're just sitting there not really challenged. And I thought, well, you know what, but if you have a classroom full of 10 to 15 children and 2 teachers, then every child is getting some sort of individual attention. And I felt like that was really important, and I really like that about the private school system. Not to say that there aren't public schools with the same. I mean, I think that your child is in a classroom of 4 teachers and 20 students. That's really amazing. That's really unusual and very lucky. That's not usually the case in the public school process.
Okay, I just want to transfer, unless you have a question specifically.
And then the teaching to the test.
Yes,
The teaching to the test was another thing that was very important to me.
What is that?
When they start getting into the testing aging of 3rd grade, when they're really starting to, they take these tests and the children get very stressed about it, and there's a lot of importance put on it, and this is going to determine whether or not you move on to the next grade. To me, why does an 8-year-old need to feel that way? I don't want my 8-year-old to feel that way. I just want them to go to school and enjoy it and love school and not be stressed. And that's the kind of environment I want for them, especially at this early age, because they've got plenty of time to be stressed about this stuff. I mean, tons and tons of time to be grown up and be stressed about testing and other achievements that they need to accomplish. But I just...
So they are not testing?
They do test in private schools, but it does not. It is simply just a way for them to gauge where your child is at, and if there is anything that they need to get extra work on. So when they do their testing, the teachers and the advisors and everyone that is within that grade level will look at your child's testing and say, you know what, we noticed something here. Maybe we need to do a little something about that. Work a little more on this, maybe something's missing, maybe they're not quite connecting with something, and so we need to maybe pull them out and do a little extra work on that. It doesn't determine whether or not they move forward.
In terms of curriculum standard and quality, how was the adjustment going from the public school to the private school in secondary?
It was fine. Yeah. It was really, I would say that there was slight differences in the curriculum because of the school that he went to, but there were probably other schools that he would have gone to that had the same curriculum or, more advanced curriculum. It's just the same in private schools. Basically, every school is going to have their own niche, and so it just depends what school they go to as to whether or not they adjust.
Do you feel like in the GNT program, I mean, not that your concerns are or would have been the same as Christie's, but do you feel like generally in the GNT program, some of those issues are mitigated in terms of class size, or maybe bringing everyone to the same window of getting it, or is it still?
I think it's a little bit more uniform than a gen ed class, but there's still, some kids are really good in math and some kids are really good in ELA, and so it's not as, so one of the things that makes some of the schools better is is that they have a lot of fundraising by the PTA and they hire teachers' aides. So Anderson, Lower Lab, I'm not sure about PS11, but they all have 2 adults in the classroom at all times, which I think is good. And my son has been lucky that he has 23 in his class, which is a very nice number. My daughter has 28 with 1 teacher and 17 in the GT.
So,
Really?
so another one quick thing I would say about that too, about teaching to the levels, is that my older son, who is a visual learner, it's been established, for years that's the best way for him to learn. School goes above and beyond to submit things to him for him to have visual things to look at before he goes into a lecture class, so that he gets the extra benefit for him to be able to retain the information in a way that's effective for him. So that's what I mean. That's what I like to see that going into place, that extra mile, that little extra something that they're like, okay, well, we're gonna help him with that. This is what we're gonna do. I really feel like we're a team, and I'm not a stranger in his classroom. I mean, his teachers know me well, always have, from kindergarten, from pre-K. They've been in different schools, and I've had the same, that in particular has been the same experience.
Sorry, I'm looking at the clock. We still have 3 speakers to go. Nancy.